I think the best whiskey I had this year wasn't from Scotland. In this video, I'm going to show you my top world whiskies of the year. And then I've got a whole lot of runner-ups. I'm not donkey deep in with Scotch whiskey. Look, I still buy a lot of it, but if there's good world whiskey out there, whether it's from Canada, Australia, New Zealand, France, Belgium, anywhere, if I find a good whiskey, we're going to talk about it in this video. And I think everyone who watches this should be able to find one of them. So if that interests you, hit like and subscribe. Come on in and make yourself comfy. This first one, I think most of you should be able to find it in like probably the bottle store that's closest to you. So when I did that video last year about my top 10 bourbons for a Scotch lover, I reached out to my Patreons and I said like, which ones like should I try? Which ones should I buy? Probably the top recommended whiskey everyone said was like, you need to buy this one. However, at the time, I happened to not be able to get it in the country. I don't know why it was sold out or it just seemed to be unavailable. But I do have it now. And this one's going to be the Four Roses Single Barrel, bottled at 50%, and it's from Kentucky. Overall, I know a lot of you don't like bourbon. Look, it's still going to be sweet. You need a sweet palate for bourbon, like, let's be honest. So I think if you know a lot about Scotch whiskey and single malt, the things we're often looking for, A, how's it distilled? You know, if you watch my distillation video or my How Whiskey is Made video, you'll know about that. The second thing we look for is the cask type. For bourbon lovers, they're not the primary things they're looking for when they are looking for a whiskey. They're looking for what's called the mash bill, because with bourbon, as opposed to single malt, it only needs to be 51% corn, and then that last 49%, that's where they get creative. Whereas with single malt whiskey, that needs to be 100% barley, so they can't really get creative in different grain types, but they get creative on the cask and that sort of thing. So with this is what they call a high rye bourbon. It's higher in the rye, more of that spice element, which is what I really like. For my palate, my least favorite would be the wheated bourbons, like your Maker's Mark. I just find it just so sweet. The camera keeps not focusing. I was kind of not wanting to be this far through it. I was trying to save it for summer, but I couldn't help myself. Next one is fascinating, and it is a single malt, and a lot of you in the comments, probably I've had over 100 comments about you guys telling me to try this. This one from Northern Europe is absolutely fantastic. So hundreds of you have told me about this whiskey and they're like, you need to review it, you need to talk about it. It's one of the best world whiskies. It's 48% aged in bourbon and virgin oak cask. No artificial color, non-chill filtered. Yeah, this one's from Sweden and it's from High Coast. This one specifically is the HAV. One of the interesting things about this distillery is it's a little bit similar to Cardrona. It's in the South Island of New Zealand. So that's like by a ski field, right? So you think really cold. Wow, that's, you know, must be similar to some Scotch whiskies, much aged slower. But what people don't realize is actually in the summer, it can get really hot. And the difference between winter and summer, like the temperature changes a lot. And it sounds like for this distillery, it's kind of the same. It's another one of those whiskeys though that I feel like it's kind of a tease. I'm like, I really like this, but I can't get a bottle. But I would totally buy a bottle if I could. It's just so easy on the palate. The problem with a lot of world whiskies is that a lot of them don't have the experience of hundreds of years, and probably like they can hire staff members who've done, you know, like they don't have like the crossover of probably the knowledge. A lot of them getting the knowledge in, Kate Byron getting Jim McEwen and that sort of thing. And then that, you know, can give them a real head start on that knowledge. But there is a lot of new distilleries, and I will be honest, that can come off a bit rough. And it's kind of what some people think. So that's kind of what I want to do with this video, because those gems out there, genuinely, I find better than most Scotch whiskies. And I feel like this fits in this. It's just so approachable. So one of my patrons came over, they gave me a whiskey from Canada and they said this was their favorite from Canada. I tried some and I got to agree, like this is good whiskey. Because I know so many of you are from Canada and I'm always banging on about like New Zealand and Australian whiskies, and a lot of you can't get that. Now to actually try something from where you're from, it's really cool. And I feel like it makes sense. When I was in Canada and I visited there, is just so beautiful. Going through Banff and Jasper, that is a place, it just kind of makes you want to drink whiskey. I just want to be in a wooden cabin in Canada and have a good dram. So this one is 12 years old, rich sherried, also kind of has some maple syrup notes, which kind of, I feel like that fits pretty well. And it is from Shelter Point. It's like sherried, but it's quite pulled back. It's not like a sherry bomb. It's cool to include two Canadian whiskies. Last year it was the Macalonis. It was like the peated one, I think. That was great too. This next one isn't from the Commonwealth. It is from, well, probably the opposite. This is from France. I feel like the country that's most slept on is probably France. I feel like people in France do know that they make good single malt. I mean, well, they make great wine and they make great brandy. Why wouldn't they make good single malt? In a video I did about, I don't know if I'm going to release it before this. I might be giving you a bit of a spoiler. I talked about some of the whiskies I want to try the most. So I haven't actually tried it. It was from Emmerich. This was a 3-year-old, but the one I've had a lot of you guys tell me about was the 15-year-old. Like, apparently that's amazing. Even on Dramface, they gave it like a glowing review. A lot of you on Discord, on Instagram have just said that was amazing, but I haven't tried it. So it's not in this video, not including it, but I do have another from France, which is fantastic. So this is another one from Whisky Tour of the World. It is also non-chill filtered natural color, which is kind of becoming a theme with these whiskies. And in Scotland, we like celebrate that. We're like, whoa, this has got all 3 of those. And world whiskey, that's just the norm. It just seems to be the norm on most of these. And it's actually from the Cognac region. So it is this one here. It is finished in Oloroso sherry casks, bottled at 46%. So just a side note, like I often talk about distilleries in like the most beautiful locations. This one's like literally in a chateau. This is a great dram. It's very silky. It almost, I don't know if this is placebo, but it almost has that kind of like silky kind of texture that you get in a lot of brandies and cognacs. Beautiful whiskey. Very elegant, actually. It's what I put in the same category as like a Glendronach, a Tamdhu, Macallan, Cadrona. It's got that sort of like beautiful, elegant style of whiskey. Very floral. It's not like in your face intense, just nicely balanced. But let's jump to this next whiskey, which is super different. It's wildly different. Quick shout out to 2 whiskey tasting tools that I think you might need. One being the flavor tree, helps you find the flavors in your glass. Over 500 of you now have it and you're hanging it up all over the world, and even like bars and restaurants have it now, and helps you find flavor notes. There's a dark, there's a light version, and it also comes in these packs of 10 cards that you can take to your next tasting. Or what a lot of you requested, what are my like top whiskies? Which whiskies should I buy next? Well, I made a chart, 100 of them on a flavor diagram, rich and spiced on one side, light and fruity, smoky, non-smoky. But I got a pro illustrator to turn it into an old style explorer map. Yeah, go check that out. It's down in the description as well. But also, a lot of you don't hit like and subscribe. Go do that. Helps this video get out. It's free. And yeah, back to the video. I feel like this is one of the most interesting whiskies, and you can actually get it around. When I did that video, when I was going around London, went to whiskey bars and whiskey shops.
Talking about New Zealand, Thompson. They do
Thompson, yeah, the Manuka. Yeah.
Manuka stuff. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
I had quite a few people just bring it up just randomly about how much they like the Thompson Manuka smoke full noise. It's super different. It's the sort of whiskey that if you got someone coming around who feels like they know everything about whiskey and have tried everything, you pour them one of those, it will definitely surprise them how different it is. It's like biscuits, smoked fish. It's got this like nice lemony note. It's really interesting. But let's jump over to the Tasman to one of my favorite Australian whiskies. This one here was such a good find. I found I was struggling to find Tasmanian whiskey that was kind of like either just good value and just super approachable. I found some of them, it's a little bit like the Wild West. One cask will be like this and one will be a bit different. And it was a bit hard to navigate. It's like, what is your flagship whiskey? And luckily with this distillery, they do have a flagship. And I feel like their spirit style is also really good. There's going to be the Spring Bay from Tasmania. And this is a really nice, light, floral, fruity whiskey aged exclusively. I believe this one's exclusively ex-bourbon casks, bottled at 46%. It's such an easy dram. Little white fruits coming through, apricots. This is the sort of one that's for the people who don't love smoky whiskies or don't really want a sherry bomb. They want the spirit to stand up by itself. This one is really good. I think they've done a fantastic job. Before we get to my top 3 world whiskies, there are so many special mentions and I don't know if you guys would be able to buy them. So we're just going to like smash through a whole bunch. Actually, one specifically would be my world whiskey of the year if I knew more of you could get your hands on it, but it is a special release. But let's start with this one here. This is from Kitty Hawk. Wade talked about them in our video we did together. This one's in the port cask. Fantastic whiskey. If you're in Brisbane, go check out Kitty Hawk. I really like this liquid. The next one's really interesting for both you Americans and Kiwis. So they take bourbon from the States and then they finish wine casks from New Zealand. It is the Nowhere Bourbon. There is one distillery, is fantastic, that I almost feel biased talking about it now. Made me kind of like not want to put it on the list, but it's from Waiheke Whiskey, which I did a whole like video on, where I actually have 2 of my barrels aged, and they do like New Zealand peated whiskey using New Zealand peat, not Isla peat. And this one is a sample from my cask. If you're interested in that, I'm going to release kind of an extended version on Patreon where I'll just go through it kind of raw. Okay, so genuinely, this might be my favorite world whiskey, but since I know some of you won't be able to get them because just by the nature of them being single casks. But as a series, pretty much everything coming out from this distillery is absolutely banging. We'll start with this one here, which, I mean, if some of you are like business travelers and you go to a lot of airports, you probably could get this. This is the Pocono Totara cask. It's finished in a different type of wood. So if you know anything about like Scotch whiskey, like by law they have to use oak, but not in other countries. So this is primarily aged in oak, but then finished in a native New Zealand plant. Probably my favorite of the lot. One of my patrons brought this to my attention. This one, which is finished in Spanish wine casks. Okay, let's get to my top 3. So this next distillery, I think a lot of you can actually find because it's from the United States. And this is the Westwood. This is great juice, but actually, I think the one that I've already talked about a lot on my channel, third place, is the Westwood cask strength. This is great whiskey. I've got a few friends who only drink bourbon and they love this, and I've got friends who only drink Scotch and they love this too. Okay, we're getting to my number 2 whiskey here, and I feel like what surprised me the most about this year on my whiskey journey is how much I've been enjoying rye whiskey. But there are 2 things I find with rye that kind of put me off with a lot of ryes, is that first of all, a lot of them are too sweet, and second of all, some of them kind of taste like paint. I don't know why some ryes just remind me of paint, but there's some ryes that don't do that and have everything good about ryes I love. That spice element especially, which I absolutely love. And this one here was actually from the Heart Cut, which is an independent bottler, which I can't actually get here in New Zealand. I've just got the sample, and when I tried it, I was like, oh man, I want to get a bottle of it so bad. It just surprises me the most that this ended up in the number 2 place, and it's a rye from England. It's like, how wild. Oh man, it's probably the most sippable rye I've got. Like, it's up there with the Sagamore. Hot take, maybe I like this more than the Sagamore. I don't know. I think I need to try a full bottle of this to like make my decision. But right now I feel like it is just fantastic whiskey. It's not just like your sort of curry spice. It's like those kind of herby spices. Like think of your spice rack, you got like the dried herbs and that sort of thing. But anyway, let's get to the number 1 whiskey of the year. What is the whiskey out of hundreds of world whiskeys I've tried is it number 1? And I think this might surprise some of you, but I think for a lot of you, actually, when I've talked about it before, I know a lot of you now on the Discord have actually got a bottle of this. And when you've talked about your top whiskies, this is on there. It's like the odd one out. It's like Scotch, 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 bourbon, and this one. So normally for my World Whiskey of the Year videos, I don't like to repeat whiskies that I mentioned in the previous year. I like to kind of refresh the list. I just think I need to be honest with that. Out of any world whiskey, this is the one I wanted the most. And what's really interesting is it's such a good twist. So if you're into that rich and spiced, you know, sort of whiskies, the sort of east side of my flavor map, if you don't know about my flavor map, link in the description, but I kind of placed my top whiskies on it. It's one of the few world whiskies that made it onto there. This distillery, or should I say vineyard, specialize in fortified wine. The thing is with Scotch is that, you know, we talk about sherry casks and stuff, but if you've watched my sherried video, most sherried whiskies are not aged in whiskey that actually had sherry you actually drink, if that makes sense. Like, because in a nutshell, the sherry makers, they actually want really old casks, basically to the point that they fall apart. So what's happened is that there's this whole industry of companies that basically all they do is they take a cask and they season it for 6 months and then they sell it to Scotland. Like that's their business model. And that's pretty much every sherried whiskey from Tamdhu to Aberlour, you know, all of them. This distillery though, legitimately, when they put their whiskey in X kind of fortified wine cask, it was actually used for top fortified wine, and even Dave Broom talked about how good this distillery is.
I mean, I was a huge fan of, you know, of the wines themselves.
Anyway, I won't beat around the bush anymore. My world whiskey of the year is going to be the Morris Muscat. It looks like I'm not that far through until you see actually, you know, I've got another and I can't even get it in New Zealand. Like you have to get it on special order and stuff. I do wish I could get it from the local shop here. But even Wade talked about on that video where we talked about New Zealand and Australian whiskies.
I'd say up there as one of my favorite Australian distilleries because they're a winery. They actually have their own cask. If you said to me, I want to try an Australian whiskey to see what it's all about and I've only got $100, I'd tell you to go and buy this.
And after trying a few from the Morris range, my favorite definitely is the Muscat barrels. When I first tried it, I was like, oh yeah, okay. But as I got through it, I suddenly realized that I was expecting kind of a sherry cask, and this was something else. It just had this like really interesting twist on rich and spiced whiskeys that I've never had before. If you really like port, it's kind of like you're at a bakery, you're mixing sherry cask type whiskeys with the raisins in a hot cross bun. I actually love it so much that I've got this one here, which is the Morris single barrel. And I did reach out to them. I was like, I can't get this in New Zealand. Is there any way I can get a bottle? And they were really kind, and they were like, we'll send you a bottle. And this one here is actually a single cask they do. And I feel like if you wanted to buy a really nice gift, rather than just getting like a blue label, get this one, and this genuinely is the best Australian whiskey I've ever had in my life. So I actually have two brothers in Australia, and after this year that we've had with our mum passing, I feel like this is the one I want to open with my brothers. And that's a big part about whiskey too. It's about actually the memories, what you share, and just being around good drams and good conversation. So I would love to hear from you. What are your favorite world whiskeys that you've had, whether from the country you're from or just anything you've tried? Let me know down in the comments, and I'm sure a lot of you will be interested to see what other people write down in the comments. So go over, read down in the comments. If you like this video, hit like, hit subscribe, and thanks to my patrons for making this video possible. But above all, make sure you explore, share, and enjoy. Beauty.